Hi, this is Duchess Robinson, and today we're going to talk about 5 basic tips for working with web designers, setting up your site for success. So, in this demonstration, this video, I'm going to literally walk you through how to set up the information prior to getting to a web designer. Will it be me or anyone else? But quick notice here. I said web designers, and then there's web developers. Web designers are people that can design out your website. Like they can, drag and drop or create some elements in your website. A developer is one that writes codes to create your website. There's a distinct two between it. And sometimes you have people who are combined. I'm a combined web developer and designer. I can design and I can develop at the same time. So understanding what those two things are, because later on it will help you in pricing and how much you're being charged for things. And in this lesson, this tutorial, here are things that will bring down the cost. Now, I can go upwards to 1,000 at minimum, but I can also go as high as 50 to $100,000 for a website, depending on what it's used for and everything else like that, because of those two elements. So just letting you know, in certain points, I'm also used for companies that need to go to court with different companies. I'm the person that will go in and give them the information to go in. So now you know the information that is given to you. All right, so let's go to the next step. Web design. So here I'm showing you in this view just the archetype of websites and looking at the different platforms that you're going to look at it from devices. Sorry. So you have a desktop and a laptop, you have a tablet, and you have a smartphone. So this is something that I want you to keep a close attention to when it comes to submitting your information that we're going to go through in this particular video. Understanding that what 1920 by 180 or more pixels are and what they mean to your website, also your logo and the formatting. I will go through all of those things so you'll have a great idea of what's going on. So here I'm showing you that 1920 pixels wide is generally the size of the device's screens that are desktop and laptop. So looking at your tablet, 786, and looking at the smartphone, any web designer worth their salt can make your website appear in these windows automatically. It's called responsive web design. So that's something to keep an eye out for. So let's go into one. Username and passwords. What does that mean? All username and passwords to hosting domain accounts. If you don't have one, we will create one. All social media links, if there are none available, we will provide them, and additional charges apply. What does that mean? In a previous video, I talked about domain and hosting and your SSL, how to acquire it. As I stated in those videos, I've heard horror stories of just in general how people are overcharged by web designers and web developers for a basic domain and hosting, upwards to hundreds of dollars and hundreds of dollars per month for domain and hosting. And in the video tutorial, which we will put in the links below, that it can cost you maybe $35 for the year, not per month or so. So you want to have those in place. And if you go back to that video, it explained to you in detail so you can be prepared for when you give it to your web designer. That's a cost that's just off your invoices. And social media links, I know social media can be quite bothersome in some aspects. But however, just understanding creating the links by itself and not doing anything is saving you a ton of money, believe me. So let's go to the next slide. We're going to talk about brand and colors. There is a psychology when it comes to brand colors. Knowing what your brand colors are, which is generally attached to your logo. I'm going to explain some things, and I'm not going to go into detail because it drives me crazy. When you're talking about brand colors, I hear people going to workshop. I've seen seminars on social media, and I sit there and people are watching it and saying, yes, well, your business can fail based off of poor information of what branding is. And I've seen it over and over and over again. Brand done properly can help your brand grow in social media follows and website impressions and email blasts. They don't tell you the whole story. What I see mostly, they put branding as this cute little neat package of just the branding materials. Branding materials is one small aspect of branding. So, colors, just one aspect of branding, but what is the social psychology thought behind it? And if we talk about it a little bit, we'll talk about it here. Choosing the right dominant color for your brand is crucial. The color should appear on all your promotional materials, including your logo and products and packaging. And I'm going to stop right there really quick. If you want an in-depth understanding, I will also link the podcast about branding, and it will blow your mind the stories that I've told in there. So that link will be also in the description. So, as much as possible, the color you choose should set you apart. Work with your industry and image and tie your brand promise. You should also take into account color psychology, which is fairly complex. Colors can mean different things depending on culture, situation, and industry. However, in the U.S. advertisement, at least studies suggest some universal meanings. So, for example, like I've chosen in here, example, red is the color of energy, passion, and action. It is specifically for this demonstration, which is taking account of what you're understanding and what you're knowing. And here are some examples of brand colors. And there's a lot of articles out there, but I specifically pulled up an article on 99designs.com, logo design psychology of color. And they did a great job of talking about logo and brand colors. So if we read here, it says color is everywhere. And whether you know it or not, not each of the colors you encounter gives you an emotional experience. Green and blue invokes a feeling of calm, and yellow make you feel upbeat and hungry. Understanding the psychology of color can be a valuable asset for designers and entrepreneurs when choosing brand colors. Choosing the right brand means your audience will instantly know who you are, what you do, and what you're about. And no joke, the wrong color can drive them away. So check out these colors, and we're looking at the pinkish color that they have here, and they talk about it. Some of the green. I know Starbucks use green to invoke the environmental and wholesome colors. You have black and gold, which generally means that the product is expensive. Sometimes green is used in that, like for Rolex, but it's also bumped into another color. And quickly, if we look at your gender, if you're using a lot of pink in your brand colors, you know that you're not going to get a lot of men. I know it's a stereotypical type situation because some men do like pink. I know that. However, overall, uh, overall, the feeling and emotion, generally by studies, show that if you're going to use pink, you're reaching out to more women. And so, if you're using a dark color or blue, a heavy blue, or something like that, you're reaching out to men. So, tone, the brand, is it playful? Is it serious? Bright colors tend to invoke playfulness. Um, Dull colors have a little bit more seriousness. Value, is my brand luxurious or affordable? Time, is it modern or is it classic? For example, when we talked about McDonald's earlier, if we look at someone like Wrangler jeans and what colors they use, that denim blue that they like to use in their logo, it's specifically for men. And the colors and the images and the imagery that they use are for men. And you can pretty much in your head think about what Wrangler jeans. Age, is the brand youthful or mature? Energy, is it loud or subdued? So there's all kind of articles that you can type in. What is brand colors, what they invoke, what they're doing, um, how they're doing. And you really want to think about that when you're, not because it's your favorite color, but what are you thinking about when you're dealing with brand colors? And then having that conversation with your web designer can help a whole lot. See, they have so many things that you can download for the psychology of color. Um, this PDF, you know, red, the negative and the positive. Red, negative, anger, danger, warning, aggression, pain. Orange, negative, deprivation, frustration. I mean, and orange, you know, courage. Turquoise, black, sophistication, elegance, authority. Um, you can go and look through a whole bunch of things. I like to download things like this because I like to read them and then go over it and look at it with different people and grow from there. And then combining some colors. So that's one instance when we talk about brand colors, and usually it's used for your social media. And every time someone thinks about your brand or the name, they know your colors. Okay, so let's talk about the name of your website. This is also very crucial because I've seen names too long, too complicated, too everything, and you're wondering why people are not going to your website, or they're misspelling it, or some other things. Now, just because you know your website and you can go and type it in Google and it comes up, doesn't mean it is SEO or anything else like that. That means you just typed it in Google. Now, for somebody that doesn't know your name, how will they get to that? How will they understand that? If it's too long, and I've seen it, and I'm so happy, and yes, I will say it, I'm so happy that churches in particular have learned not to spell out their full church name in their domains. That was the most, it makes you scream. I have to type in, and especially if they have a whole long name, First Corinthian National Baptist Apostolic, whatever, .com or .org. First of all, understanding what .org, .com, and .net means is another thing, but we're going to go into that briefly here. Now, we're going to talk about the 7 criteria of a good name, a good business name, and that business name should tie over to the name, which is all a part of that branding and everything else like that. So, quickly here, distinctiveness, does it stand out from a crowd, especially from other names in its class? Does it separate well from ordinary text and speech? The best names have the presence of a proper name. Then you go into the brevity, which is number two. Is it short enough and easily recalled and used? Will it resist being reduced to not a nickname? Long, multi-worded names to be quickly shorthanded to the non-communication initials. So, excuse me. So, sometimes you get your name. Like, my name is 8 by 10 Designs, which is distinct from other people. It can be 8 by 10, it could be a couple of things. And usually, your viewers, if you watch on social media and listen to it, you can see they'll give it a nickname, but it should be small enough and attached to initials where it's easily able to be called out. And then you need to go into the appropriateness. Is there a reasonable fit with the business purpose and identity? If it works just as well or better or another entity, keep looking. See, IBM, Apple, that's easy enough to understand. Um, when we talked about, and I talked about it a little bit, how frustrated I get when I see people just talk about brand identity stuff and choosing it to be, just choosing it to be branding altogether and do workshops just on that alone. It is perplexing because it is so much more. And I've seen businesses literally, I've had to give information to a CEO of a business that you're using, and they charged them $650,000 for their branding. And the question was, is that too much or what have you? Well, based off of everything they're putting together for their marketing, it was fair. However, certain things wasn't taking place on the website to go to coexist with that. So that's where the issue lie with. And so going based off of that, understanding that it's not going to cost you $200 and $300 to have an effective brand. That's just not it. That if you cannot afford the pricing of proper branding, which can start at $10,000, and that's at the low end, you really have to pay attention to certain things, and you can achieve that on your own. I don't want to scare you and think you have to pay all of that. There's so much more to that. So there's so many YouTube, there's so many Google things that you can look up, and one of them is this particular criteria, and that should help you. And that's what most people do. Really pay attention to this criteria in the industry. So, easy spelling and punctuation. I'm not going to read all through it. If you download this book, you can download the workbook yourself and read it. Likability, extendability, protectability. So, .org, of course, organization.com, .net, network, .de, .nyc, .ur, .uk, those are all over. So understanding who you're pushing the business, and I suggest if you want to do international business, look up the extension for those international businesses and tie those into your website as well. So if you know you're doing work in the United Kingdom, it's best to understand to get just not just your .com but your .uk as well. So, as we talked about, brand material. So, for the website, you got to understand, when you're sitting at the table and you're going through your discussions, are you getting branding done or are you getting branding materials done? See, these are small parts when you're dealing with your website. They deal with your brand identity. Now, as you can see here, here's an example of brand identity. These are things that go on your invoice, your letterheads, your posters. These are identifiers. They're not your complete branding at all. You can see, of course, I used the color red just to give you an idea and work through here. This is not actually my brand colors, but it is for this video. So, in general, just understanding what is needed for a developer. Just the brand colors, the logo, stuff like that, because you're not doing total branding with your web designer. You're doing a portion of your brand identity, which includes your website, your business cards, your logos, stuff like that, your social media identifiers. No more than that, because we're not talking about your brand voice, your everything. That goes on the business practices that you do, which will equate. If we talk about McDonald's, when you go to McDonald's, what do you expect to see? Not just their logo, but you can sense how their French fries taste or how their milkshake machine are always broke. These are things that contributes to a full-blown brand. But now for your web designer, they just need your identifiers. And let me show you what that is and what that means. We want to jump in and talk about effective branding, because that is going to be the level of, or versing, you're doing good on your website, okay, versus your website is the leading hub and it is monetizing to the fullest. And what do I mean here? I've written this a while ago, 5 effective branding tips of your website. And I'm just going to go over the first line. So let's talk about that. The first stage of brand building is defining your brand. This is a very critical step, as it is ultimately determines what your brand truly stands for. When you're defining your business brand, you should create a checklist of its core strengths. Similarly, if you're defining a personal brand, you should look at the skills and expertise that you possess, especially those which stands out. On the same token, you also need to know what your brand stands for and what it's important for your brand value. See, we talked about different aspects of a brand and just not its identity. So, your value should, in one way or another, show that you are contributing to the environmental, social, and economic well-being of consumers. You may not realize that some of these important aspects of brand building immediately until you look at them objectively. So, we talked about brand consistency, differentiating your brand. Of course, I will have a video tutorial on this and some reading materials to go along with it. Every big tutorial that I do have the written documentation for people who want to read about it. And I just want to jump over into another writing that I had. This was a brand analysis. And I go into what is your company's mission? What are the benefits and features of your products and services? And many times I've seen websites where people just talk specifically about them and less about the product and how it's going to benefit the person wanting to buy it. Oh, it's one of those websites where it has the person's picture all over it. And you never really understand that, yes, the picture and them knowing who you are is fine, but I really want to know what you're going to do for me and how it benefits me. So the next thing is, what do your customers and prospects already think of your company? So be very aware of that. What quantities do you want them to associate with your company? What do you want them to get from their experience? If we look at a business like Chick-fil-A, we know that they're not open on Sundays um, due to their religious um, affiliation and their faith. So we know that. The purpose of the analysis is to reveal insight and identify areas of improvement through the brand strategy analysis. So you should always have a brand strategy. And it's not always through your brand identity. It could be how you answer a phone, how you have a catchphrase at the end of your social media or your hashtags or anything like that. But I just wanted to jump in because, like I said, I get extremely annoyed when I see these brand workshops and it's just about brand identity, and they're not highlighting all of the aspects or letting people know there is a ton more to brand identity. And it is a difference between you having 1,000 followers that you push invite on Facebook to having 10,000 and just having an image and a name. I did that. Just letting you know. That's the core value. And I just had the conversation with, there's a lot of people out there that will speak about, oh, well, anybody can do that or anybody can do that. So I want people to start asking the question, okay, if you are a social media expert, how many followers do you have? And if they're not showing you over 10,000, they're not an expert. They're not considered an influencer at all. So that's the start. The higher you get, the more you can understand that person, and if they had it paid versus, people following them based off of content, which is organic. So those are a few simple things that I wanted to talk about branding. So if we go back and we talk about it, your logo color preference, if you don't have one, of course we'll charge it. Logo format, as I showed you, .eps, .png, .svg, or the files, or just 300 DPI. And I just showed you why that's important for all aspects. And if you have those in place, if your web designer and your graphic designer are two separate entities, then I happen to be a designer, developer, a graphic artist, and internet marketing. My master's is in internet marketing. So altogether, pulling those together, sometimes they may be separate. Sometimes your web designer may be good for web design and your graphic designer is extremely good, and you can tie those in. It's more of a charge, but hey, as long as you're getting the desired effect that you want, perfect. So let's go to number 4. Basic information for your website. Woo. Okay, here we go. Pages, home, about, services, blog, contact, or additional pages you prefer. We do not proofread. We have proofreaders and website content writers for additional charges. This is very important, specifically for me. And over the years, I've learned from my mistakes, and my mistakes have been, and centralized over the years, is letting people know what their basic, what weight should they be pulling in this process? What are their responsibilities to this project? And I have noticed, if it's not, this is like one of the main things over the years that I have learned from, is that when my presentation was great, this is what this website can do, I can do this, I can do that, all of that aspect was good. However, the lacking thing was letting people understand There is a cost associated when you don't have information about your business. And sadly enough, that has been an issue, and their expectations of what they feel that, okay, I'm paying all of this money for a website, why can't you write it? Well, I don't know about your business. I don't know about your practices. I don't know your thoughts. I don't know anything. Writing for a website is hard for everyone. So I always let people know now, don't go over the top. And yes, I will have a detailed video. And in this, I'll show you an example of a nonprofit. Like one of the situations, I had to literally write the information, basic information for a nonprofit so they can put it on their website in this sheet. And I was, a little bit thrown off. Like, okay, you don't know about your nonprofit, but you have your nonprofit. So basically, we got into that situation. So I'm going to show you what that looks like. Now, let's go into if you have an e-commerce website, and please provide the following. And I know it's a whole new thing and understanding, but these are the crucial things. And as we talk about images later in this video, you'll understand. You need the images per product. I can't make up or have a picture of something that you're selling. I don't understand what that is. And prices per product, description per product, and additional variations per product. That is the simplest thing that I can explain. And let me go into that. We're going into the um, things that you want to put on your website. And I'm going to start by, I wrote this a while ago, this particular form. I'm probably will turn it into a book, for people to copy and paste and use at hand. So I wrote this for a nonprofit company who had no idea what to write for their company. And as I explained in the video, it's important to understand what your organization and be transparent about it. So I'm going to give you specifically highlighting what needs to be on a website. So let's talk about it. The about, or who are we, or who we are, would be the better phrase of that. So I'm going to change that. And here's the mission that I wrote. It was just a vague mission. Our mission is to improve the quality of life for at-risk teenagers in the inner city of Philadelphia and surrounding counties, with emphasis placed on education, psychotherapy, and social skills. We strive to help other people excel to better our communities for generations to come. Our vision is to invest in teenage girls so they will be successful in school and life, resulting in incapacitating poverty, incarceration, and violence. So I basically gave them a vision, how to phrase or get the idea fully of the mission and the vision statement for their nonprofit. Then I went into our program. So the program prevention, which will correlate what was said above, prevention program serving girls, and then I gave the age range. These are the way people will look at a website. They'll skip through to see what the program is about. It's just how you glance over anything else and you read it to see if you are eligible. So if someone is coming to your page for something, they want to see key phrases that apply to them. So you want to make sure you incorporate those in your conversations and videos and writings about your business, your program. So again, gang involvement, abusing drugs or alcohol, school truancy, Gave some examples, let it marinate in their heads. Our outreach includes engaging them through after school programs and teenage leadership. Like literally, I had to write this out in my head. So, prevention programs include after school program, youth leadership, mentoring, etiquette training. All of these are presenting support, goals, life specific based education, harm minimization, minimization in school, safe and supportive, whatever. I just add stuff in there. Approaching to drug education, life skills, effective groups, communication. If I wanted to start a non-profit program, I have all of the documentation right in front of me because I wrote it. So, types of effective verbal. I just broke down different things that would engage people in what you're doing and giving them an idea through your words of visualization. Now, when I wrote this, I would also include video of everything that's said here to really get people to, or some people are not people who read, but you want to reach people in different ways of the spectrum. You know, people who watch a video and people who will actually read it. Compliments. I talked about housing, different programs inside of the program, just opening up. Our organization provides a stable home, counseling, life skill training to at-risk and homeless young women. See, I've added the other portion of the top part of it. Transition and independent living, how they're going to do it. Outreach, and these are key headings. The way I have it headed here is how you should send it back to your developers. You can work on headings for your website or outlines per se. Your website is particularly just an outline of your program, what you're doing, how you're doing. So most people will say, well, hey, Duchess, I can't really write it out, or I don't have the time to write it out. I know what we're doing. So you give me the information. Either I'll write it or I will have one of my writers write it. And just having a basics of these things can help a ton. People can word it for you, but the responsibility of giving and highlight comes from you. So outreach program include, as you can see, peer. So when I'm going into the website, all I have to do is just copy and paste this stuff. You know, put it in here. This is in a PDF, so I was going to skip over some things. But here's some referrals, enrollment. This is another heading I would put in the website because that's something someone would see and want to know. All the information, other website pages, a donation portion of it, different ways to donate. And people miss the opportunity of donation. They just say, hey, just donate. And you don't give them a reason or how they can donate and stuff like that. You have to give people an opportunity to say, well, you would be surprised someone is looking to get rid of a car and you know you're trying to teach in this particular program young women life skills and teaching them how to drive. And here you missed the opportunity to say on your website, because people search that, I want to donate my car. And here you could have put it here. In-kind donation, arts and crafts, construction paper, houseware, pantry. I just thought about everything that they're teaching these young women and put it in there. Clothing items, seasonal, maternal clothing, new bra, socks, underwear, flip-flops, beach towel, boots, hygiene. This is the most prevalent one. Tickets and gift certificates. Even if you don't have any, you don't want to give money, you can use gift certificates to a certain thing. Baby items, miscellaneous items. Contact us. Remember, we talked on the end about the team page, and that's the information, different emails to different people and different departments in your emails. And you can also include phone numbers if that's how you do it. And then you can talk about news and events, media or impact, getting involved, spreading the word, volunteer, request a speaker, host a fundraiser. Those are things that you can do to have interaction in your website and give people, and it was not hard, as you can see here, and you can take some of the information here and use it. But if you can see here, it didn't take that much. Who are we? One, our program. Two, then we went down to housing. Three, outreach. Four, roles and country. Five, other work. Six, and then you have all of these other things. Maybe seven, 10 pages at the most to talk about your business. That's all it is. Just a highlight of what you're doing. So that is what we were talking about. Even the blogging, again, we talked about that portion of it, just putting in information specifically to what you're doing and how you're doing it, and certain things and certain events that you're hosting or being a part of, or someone that helped you. If you wanted to give them a highlight or you want to link back to their website, you're giving them marketing, and you're also having marketing yourself. This is the successful outcome that you would want. Someone to go to your website, have all the information, and they can click and buy what you have. So let's also go over to the basic information for your blog. If you have blog, and of course, I encourage everyone who's doing everything for their website to have a blog piece. Not to just write about anything, but specifically be the industry leader of your own business. What does that mean? You can write articles about, a sale, or the nuances of what's going on in your company. If you're doing business person of the week, if you want to talk about a specific follower on your social media, the latest news, a newsletter, things that will continue to grow your social media and the viewership to your website. That's why these are important. How it's laid out, specifically with your blog content, there's different categories that you want to set it apart. Of course, you want to have crisp, clean images, which you can get anywhere. And it doesn't have to be long. Your blog doesn't have to be long. It just needs to be effective to talk about what you're talking about. It could be even a few lines or video. Adding a video to your blog is welcome. So, just to explain that in small detail, here you are. So, media items. Medium items, and I couldn't wait to get to this. This, I'm laughing. I'm laughing because a successful website design and redesign start even before the site is being designed. My biggest pet peeve is images when it comes to your website. I have gotten to a point of my life where I need for you to know your failures or your success lie in your images. Why? Because you have people looking at your images for different devices. You have certain quality of certain qualities of images that you should have. You want it crisp and clean and clear. And yes, and I know some people just don't know, so I'm not picking on anyone or disparaging them. But if you think it's too much to have good pictures and I don't know how to get, then you're not looking for your website to be successful. You do the best that you should do, and then you can't make people, me. And it's like this clip in Friday.
To go to the store and give me some cigarettes.
Give me the money.
Wait a minute. What's this? This ain't enough. Make it enough.
So, what does that mean? What does that mean, Duchess? What are you trying to say? So, what I'm trying to say to you is images should be, and let me go back a little bit, and well, quickly, should be in good format. So, let me give you an example here, and then you'll understand exactly why I'm saying what I'm saying. And you're going to laugh at some of it, but hey, here it is. I really want to talk about this subject. This is out of everything I talk about in this particular part of this video, I want to talk about imagery and the images that you send to be posted on a website, and how important it is for your image. If you want that clean, crisp portion of it and you want to convey it, you have to have clean images, and I'm really going to dive into it. Now, I got 3 separate websites where you can get free images, and they're for commercial or personal use. You're not going to get in trouble for using them. And then I want to talk about how they convey to your own personal images that you have, and how frustrating it is for not just a web designer, a web developer, a graphic designer, and oh yes, an internet marketing person. This is the most annoying things that I would receive from clients that I asked them for images to put on their website. They don't know because nobody told them. And it's important now to just really demonstrate. You can tell them, no, you need to do. They may not get it. So I'm going to talk about free high resolution photos. So I'm going to do people, since we're working with people. Here's some high resolution images. How do I know it's high resolution? Because the website said so. I'm going to download a couple from each one. So since we're doing people, I'm going to go to, and this one is Unsplash. I'm going to Pixabay, and I'm going to do, you can get audio and stuff like that. I'm going to just do person, or I can type in anything. So you can see here, that's strange. It's kind of strange. This is a nice one. This is in a horizontal format. And you can look at orientation, horizontal, vertical, images, graphic, videos. But my orientation, and most orientation thing that you need to send for a website is horizontal. You can have a few vertical things. So I'm going to click on this particular one. And it says free download. As you can see, remember we talked about that in the video, 1920 wide. It can go up as much as 5,000. High resolution, nothing small. Download. I'm not a robot. Download. I'm not going to do too many of that because it's going to make me do a lot. Then I'm going to go to another one called pixels. So I'm going to go over to person here. Here's a good one here. Download. Done. Really good colors. Thanks to Tony, you can, copy. Thank you, Tony. So, Tony, I just gave you a shout out on the video. Here's another guy. You can say thank you to him on Twitter, blah, blah, blah. This is good. That's all they're asking for. So, I've downloaded quite a few images, and I want to show you on not just one, but a couple. And I'm going to show you, you know what? I wasn't going to do it, but I'm going to go to Instagram. And I'm going to tell you, This is what I get from Instagram. So if I go on, and yes, if you didn't know, I am the CEO of this. So this is a fascinating picture, nice picture. And so if let me do something like, I'm on my computer, so I'm going to screenshot this particular image. So like, okay, I want Duchess to do this. And most time when people screenshot for their computer, they get the whole thing. I'm just showing you a couple of things. Or they'll send it from their phone. So I'm going to go to downloads right now. These are the images that I downloaded. And if you look at Black Girls Hair Rock, here are the other ones. Let me show you why I detest you sending me anything from Instagram or Facebook. Oh, you can go on my Facebook and grab the picture. Oh, no, I cannot. Because what you're doing, you had to upload that photo before. Had to. And so what happens when you upload a photo to social media? So I'm going to take an image right here. And we can look at it here. It says dimensions 1920 by 12 by 80. Let me show you something. I'm going to go to Photoshop. I'm going to open that picture. I'm going to open that same picture. And I'm going to show you something. It's a nice clean image. I'm going to go to image here. And I'm going to go to image size. The resolution on here is 72. Still a big image. That means it can be seen on digital project. I can't print this out because it's at 72 DPIs, but I can put it on websites and still have a clean and clear thing. I'm gonna go to Facebook. I'm gonna show you something. I'm going to go on, you know what? I'm going to not go on my regular page. I'm going to go on Duchess Robinson page. So if you get a chance to go on here, you can go on here. Now I'm going to upload the photo as soon as this loads. Create a post. And you know what? I'm just going to put photo and video. We're going to upload this video. Remember what it was. Remember what it was. So I'm going to upload it. Write the name. Testing for video. And just add it there. I'm going to leave it there so you can go back yourself and do it. So I'm going to post. I don't need to reach it anymore. Reach more people. I got so many different things. So it's there. I'm going to go ahead and refresh the page. I'm going to go to that picture, good size picture, and I'm going to do save as, and it gives you a whole nother name. So, let me show you what happens. This is the Facebook. This is the original. This is the Facebook. Let's open it with Photoshop again. Same thing, we didn't do anything to it. Image size. Same thing. Clean. You can do it. If it's done like that, that's fine. If you go in and download it, let's do that. Again, you lead with simple images that have high resolution. You're not too bad of a position because they're made to do that. Pretty simple. I can't do it from where I stand. You have to do it on your own. Here, still, it's holding its pixels. So, if I did that and put it into Instagram or download it from the phone, it's better to give someone the beginning of the original one, which I should have done. Let me see something here. Clean image. Let's open up another image. I want an image now with, so if you're giving me something to print, so let's open up some of the digital ones. All right, so this digital, this image size, that's 72 too. Oh well. Let's see what happens if I make it bigger. It made it extremely big. I don't think I want to do that. If we go to, I think we got this one from Unisplash. 7272 resolution. It'll tell you. I tend to prefer 300 by 300 pixels. These are all 72. Okay, so let's go to Unsplash again and see. You know what? Pixabay is the one. And we got this from Pixabay. So let's go person. And right now I'm looking for the images with 300 DPIs. I think this is more or less one. The higher one. And just simply join with your social media if it gets too much. I think I probably should already have one. Okay, so let's look at this girl. I just downloaded. There she is. Alright, here we go. 300 by 300. Let's open it up in Photoshop. And we look at images and it should tell me 300 DPIs. Alright, we put it on Facebook. And at some point, I'm going to remove that one because people will get confused, but I'll keep it on there. Testing image for video. Part 2. Just showing you something. Remember, this was 300 DPI. Don't leave her on here. Here she is. So, it's clean. Clean in the beginning. So, I'm going to do download. Here she is again. So, I'm going to upload. I'm going to go to that. That's the original. This is the one that's downloading. I think we're done with that. Let's see. Okay, here she is again. You can tell it's on there because it gives you the long URL. Image size. Look what happened. Automatically constrained it to 72. What happened? An image that was 300 DPI, to make space in their platform to host all of the information, will condense your image. So this is a good width and height. Now imagine if the image was smaller and the DPI was 300, and then you put it on social media, and then you download the social media and then send it to me. You know, how is that going to be? So what happened, this is the new one. Let's show the original one. This is the original one. Image size, look, see the difference? They made it smaller. So if you're giving me images from social media for anything print, it's not going to have a high resolution. It's only going to have a high resolution only for web information. So let's open these. These are from social media. I had to screenshot that, but if you can see this image, the images are very small. This is dimension 289 by 372. And you know what? This is usually the sizes that I'm sent to do whatever. Put them on a website. Now, if you can see, I opened it. If we go to this image size, 72 DPI, but look how small this is. The width. Remember, we talked about And let me show you the different sizes of the website. So if we're doing horizontal and I do 1920 by, let's say, 800, I want the banner, and you're giving me images to fit that. We'll show, let's go here. This is the image. So if I put the image in here, look what happens. Small. And small. Okay, so in order to make it bigger, I would have to scale it. And look what happens to the image. It's starting to lose its cleanliness. See what I'm saying? It doesn't take up the space. It doesn't do anything. It's not as clear, it's not as crisp as the other one. So if we go ahead and go back to the girl here, we share it with the DPIs. Look, it's larger than the screen. It's already horizontal, so I can literally just make it smaller to try to fit everything there. So I can literally, if it's this disproportionate, that's not a bad thing, because I can literally add the background to it. Oops, here we go. With no issues, I'm just putting something here. Nothing really crazy. Oops. That's gonna go here. There we go. And I can, generally fix and consort or, create anything close to this. So, and fade it in. But the other one is just too unfixable for anything. And that's what I'm trying to say. This is a good image. Look at the width and the length. If I turn, and this is 300, if I turn it to 72, I still have a good enough size to work with. So what overall happened? Be careful sending a developer or graphic designer images that you want to be printed from social media, because when you upload it, they automatically convert it to their dimensions and their DPI. 72, we talked about it. 72 is for web stuff only. If you want things printed, it has to be 300 and above. That way you can move it and groove it anywhere you like to. Even with your logos. If we go back to what we talked about in one of our sections about logos, if we go into that section about the demo logos, and we can sample logos, we can talk about the logos here. As you can see, are pretty large scaled. Image size, 300 DPIs. That means at any point, if I wanted to reduce it and push 72, that's for web. Still a great size. And or I can go back to 300 and put in an 800 size. Still will look fine. So again, be careful what you send. Images are crucial to your website. If you want that cream, crisp looking imagery in there, and you want your website to pop, make sure the resolution and the dimensions of your images fit what you want it to look like. So now we're at your audio, specifically MP4s, MP3s, PDF documentation, social media links towards that are some of the things that you need to make your website successful. If you have brochures, downloadables, if you have audio, if you're doing podcasts, you need those links to the podcast. And that way your designer has everything possible. So I want to go into this next section here And I put no words here because I really needed to talk about our team page. Our team page is a crucial page in your website. And we go back to those images. It takes nothing to have a good photographer come in and everybody, remember back in the day when you were in school and you had the dress up day and you would sit in front of there and you would take the pictures and they would have the name on it. That is perfect specifically for marketing. I had a client one time, they had their website done for something, and the most unbearable person that I can speak of, and they were just, not listening. So at that point in time, I've learned over the years, if I hear people are not listening, I just say this project is not for me and just push it along. Long story short, the argument was we don't need images on our website. We can just put our names. I said, yeah, you can do that. Yeah, we can do that. But what effect are you getting? And I'm gonna tell you what happened with one. And I had this in the back of my mind, and I could have said it, but she was too overbearing. Um, was the fact that there was a there was a person's name, and they had been on the news for some criminal activity. And when you type in, and some people can have the same name and can be in the same industry. So what happened, that person's name was not the person that was on the website. It was somebody else. However, because there was no images to it, what wind up happening is people were tagging this organization, and you know how social media can be about bad practices, and how can you have somebody like that in your organization and everything else like that. And they went on there and they just blew up their ratings on Google, and was the wrong person. Wrong person. If they had put images on top of their board to be, not only, if you are in nonprofit, you have to be transparent anyway. So I found it odd that they didn't want to put their images up, because that's not transparent at all. I could have said all of this stuff, but she thought she knew everything. So I'm just giving you real life examples. So the clear team page would save you from situations, and you have to do risk management, because you will always have some troller and how to deal with that, and some things in place. You got to think 10 steps ahead of any situation, and transparency is the best protection from all of that. So, moral of the story, picture day for, even if it's just you, take some nice pictures. Don't throw it all over the website. I've seen it. So that's just really quickly in there. So when you have all of these things in place, marketing, marketing, SEO, everything else like that, there's an extension to this video as well. All of those things will provide a wonderful experience for you and your viewers. I do have some things on pricing and how to put payments on your website. That video we are creating. But here you can really, now because you have the foundation already set up, sharing on social media will make it so much better. And most of the time when people come to me and say, hey, we want some marketing, and I look at the website and I'm like, okay, some of the components to do a great marketing jobs are not available. And sometimes it will go into web development. And I hate to do that, or redesign. I hate to do that because People are like, oh, well, I got to change my web. Yeah, you really do if you want to have the maximum successful marketing. So remember, your website is the hub, it's your office of everything about you and your company, your organization, your brand. So, just to give you a little hindsight, I'm going to show you a project that I just started to get you to understand, to get your followership up. So I just started the project that I'm going to show you now called Lori Gold. As soon as I put it up, I have 10,000 followers. The name, the images, before I even finished the website, have made it a successful project. So just giving you a heads up of the purpose and the process. So if you have any questions, please feel free to email us to messages. Too many calls we can't take because we're always almost in a meeting or doing a workshop or even a podcast. So thank you for listening. This is Duchess Robinson of 8x10 Design.